Hello, and welcome to the BOBCAST episode 14, where today we're going to be talking about character introductions. This is kind of inspired by a sort of not so great recent character introduction in a game that Grace plays in, but we're going to make it all worthwhile. Grace really wants to turn this into an ASMR podcast, which is why she's sipped more than spoken so far this whole time. So, shall we begin with the classic getting the party together, where everybody kind of has to introduce their characters?
Yeah, the meet in a tavern. Which one of you is hiding in the rafters, trying to be completely alone, aka doing it wrong? No, just kidding. It's okay to hide in the rafters if you are then going to drop down excitingly from the ceiling to introduce yourself to the rest of the party. But if you plan to hide in the rafters for the entire first session, I don't think you're going to have a great time in the rest of the game. You know what I mean?
Well, I agree. I was about to say, I don't think you knew this, but just in the Patreon campaign, we had a character reintroduce themselves because this player was out of the game for a little bit by crashing down through the ceiling. And it wasn't in a tavern, but it was really exciting, and it kind of fit their style.
Was he hiding in the rafters?
No. It was literally busting through one floor of a house down into the basement.
Right.
With a defeated enemy of like the same kind the party had just defeated.
And that's cool and awesome.
It was very cool and awesome.
But anyway, my point was,
Don't hide in the rafters.
Right, don't hide
from your party.
Don't hide.
I mean, that's a bad introduction. Just don't make yourself known.
Yeah, don't. Yes, just hide. No, this is actually kind of awesome. Just like hiding and following the party for like several sessions before you actually show yourself, which is
that could never work though.
No, well, I kind of tried to do that with Eye of the Squid, but just like have her follow them as her patron, or not her patron,
as your familiar.
Her familiar, Slippery John, until they believe that Slippery John was Eye of the Squid.
But
and
you
then
didn't do that at all, though, right?
No, because my DM did
the character introduction wrong. DMs, so listen up.
Well, we only talked about it for like 2 minutes, but...
Yeah. But I guess that's a cool way if you do want to like be sneaky and almost introduce, because this is like a thing that people try to do, right? Especially if you're this kind of person who wants to play... what's the word I'm looking for? I wanted to say roguish, but not a rogue necessarily. Any kind of more like loner character who's being introduced to the party. This is kind of already jumping into one of our other topics. If you have a disguise, I'm thinking of Erin in one of our old games with like a disguised self as a Fearbold.
Oh yeah, her Fearbold.
And I'm thinking of Erica being a changeling and like wanting to look like somebody else.
Yeah.
And not let the party like know her true identity for a while.
I think she pretty much always just looked like a changeling the whole time, though.
Neither of them did it successfully, and I don't think I don't think it's a best practice.
Erin wasn't able to do it because she misunderstood how the spell Disguise Self worked.
It was like, she didn't know it was only
like
an hour.
Someone had misled her to believe it worked a certain way when it didn't work that way. Before. I mean, I don't know. I thought it was a cool idea, and like I've kind of done it to some extent too with Eye of the Squid. If you play in that campaign,
oh, you're right.
You better not listen.
Yeah, they don't. Actually, some of them do watch this.
She's normal.
Yeah, that's a good point. But so I guess what I'm getting at though is like the classic advice of be yourself, even when it's your character, right? Just like be them. And like, because if you try to have like a secret about your whole identity, like this is one of these things that, it worked on Critical Role.
I always have a secret about my whole identity.
But it's like at least your real face and stuff. Because why do you want to carry a big lie like that after you get these people to trust you, right? That's what this podcast is about. Getting the party to like and trust your character. And then why do you want to be like, haha, I tricked you all this whole time? Then why shouldn't they be like, well, you're not really our friend. Leave. Right? Yeah. I don't know. I don't really like the line.
At least be prepared for that eventuality if you're going to do that.
Yeah, I guess know that that's a risk. Like, if you're going to lie to the party and just expect it to be a cool thing, it's totally understandable if they're like, wait, no, you're a liar. You're a bad guy.
Who even are you?
Yeah. And I guess that could lead to a whole thing of like, well, we actually did all these things along the way, and you're friends with the real me. But, like, that just works better in TV and movies, I think, than D&D.
And I hate it when it happens in TV and movies. But I do, like, I had a reason to hide my identity.
Okay. Well, okay. I guess that's a thing. And this video is not about character backstories. This is about just making it happen in the moment.
We're very adamant about this not being about backstories.
Yeah. Should have made that clear at the beginning. Now it's clear. Now not about backstories.
It's only about introductions.
Right. And so the thing is, yes, you can work in this whole reason about why you had to hide your identity. Maybe you couldn't trust them right away, but it's like you're going to not trust them by making them not trust the real you. Like it's not a great idea. I feel like it's a very delicate thing, and it's something that honestly you would want the players to be on board with. So in that way, then you have to like reveal the secret out of character before you ever get, you know?
I disagree. I think it's okay to keep your identity a secret. You just have to be prepared for the party to not like it. But I mean, if we're just talking about character introductions, if you introduce yourself genuinely, even if maybe you're not actually genuine, like then the introduction will go off fine.
Okay.
You know what I
guess that's what this is about. This is just about getting into the party.
It's getting in.
Not about the aftermath.
Any plots you have after that, this video is not about that.
That's on you. We'll make another one about that.
It's about getting into the party and getting along in that first session.
Okay.
And your DM should obviously know about the
my gosh. That's huge. Yeah, I guess we should have said that.
Yeah.
You can try to, pull a fast one on the other players because, some of them might be into that and like it. Hopefully they all will. But don't try to sneak something like that by the DM. I feel like that's really weird. Yeah. I would not like that.
If you're like, my character is actually Asmodeus of the Nine Hells, like that's obviously like way too much.
Yeah.
No good DM would even go for that in the first place.
Oh, not even that's super extreme. But I feel like even just having...
If you've ever had a player or played with someone who tried to do something like that, please tell me the story.
Yeah.
I want to know.
That's a great point. I'd love to hear about the good and bad character introductions that you guys have had. But yeah, like even just having kind of making it seem like you're another class or making it seem like you're another race than you're actually playing, something along those lines. Make sure your DM knows the real story. Because I feel like it's probably easier, especially like a class, probably easier to figure that stuff out than you realize just by like certain abilities you'll have and way you'll be
I think
making rolls
it's hard
and
to like hide your class.
Yeah.
But you can fake your dark vision.
Oh yeah.
Either maybe you have more dark vision than you may insinuate that you have.
Wow, you're making a very specific example here.
Well, I'm going to stop talking about that now.
I think only one of these people watches these videos, but they will watch this one because they're related to the thing that we said this was inspired by.
Should we talk about that part?
Should we just get right to that?
Yeah.
But so then real quick, because we said we were going to talk about the party first.
Oh, right.
Is there a way to even talk about that, though, without really bringing up backstory? Like how to just be nice with the whole party? I guess everything's going to apply to the single character.
I think it's just that one thing. Play nice.
Yeah.
Like, how would you...
End of podcast.
Yeah. So here's my whole thing with interacting both with other players and with NPCs. How would you want to be treated? The most basic thing that you learn in kindergarten. How would you want to be treated by others?
Are you saying you should treat others the way that you would want to be treated?
That's exactly what I'm saying. And
what?
You shouldn't just do off-the-wall stuff right off the bat. If you're...
Here we go. Well, let's jump in. What is it? How'd it go down? Just tell us. Tell everyone.
So here's what had happened. Our adventuring party, a group of bounty hunters, wakes up to find a note from one of our party members that says he's gone off to search for something. And we're like, oh, okay. And this is unrelated, but then we were like, let's try to avoid meeting any new people today. Just jokingly, obviously.
Okay. I didn't know about that. That's funny.
Yeah. And then we kind of made a joke about how, like, we're walking down the street just, like, looking at the ground and all these people with crazy haircuts and hair colors are around us.
Every anime main character is walking by.
A bunch of Sonic OCs are there. But we get out of the city. We're going through the forest to meet this extremely powerful angel of the elements. Whatever. He can only behead one guy at a time. Lame.
That's an inside joke. Great for podcasting.
So we're traveling through the forest, and then we come to this guy, a snowy owl person, some kind of Aarakocra. I'm not exactly sure what race he's using.
It sure as heck wasn't Barty McFly.
It was not
but it's
Barty
really funny.
Barty McFly would never. So we get into his clearing. He's like, stop. This is sacred ground. He said it exactly like that. You can't go any further. And we were like, oh, sorry, we didn't know that this clearing was sacred. We'll go around, I guess. And he's like, no, you have to stop. If you try to pass by, I'll fight you.
Whoa.
I'm kind of shortening it.
Right. But is that the gist of what this
that's basically
player
what
character
happened.
said? You can't be here, but must stay.
Right. But he had kind of arranged it with, I think, another player, his friend. That they were going to fight. Which, for the rest of the party, it hadn't been discussed with us at all, how this was going to go down.
It's almost like having a secret from the party. It wasn't
even a secret from the party. It was just, it wasn't discussed with us beforehand. So the rest of us were like, why would we want this guy in our party who just wants to fight us when we're just trying to get somewhere?
Just trying to walk on that sacred ground, you know?
Right. So we're just trying to leave. The other character, Jari, a lizard folk, we know he wants to fight everyone, so this wasn't super weird to us.
That's his thing.
Starts fighting this guy, and then the DM reveals that, oh, this snowy owl man has a tattoo that's similar to Jari's. So Jari stops and he says, where'd you get that tattoo? And the snowy owl man says, I'm not going to tell you. So that was kind of a miscommunication. I think he said it was a miscommunication with the DM where he thought that, Jari would already know what it meant and where it was from, but he didn't.
Oh, okay.
So they just kept trying to fight each other, and eventually Jari got a real big wallop from this new character.
Natural.
We were standing back, but then it started to get serious, where Jari could have potentially died. So we were like, well, Jari's our friend, and we know him, so if this guy is going to kill him, we're going to kill him right back. And we even warned the player, if you keep doing this, our characters will basically have no choice but to hurt you.
Yeah.
And, we didn't really want to do that, because
doesn't make...
we knew it was a new character. We don't want to kill someone's new character.
So how did the situation end?
Also not in a super great way.
Right.
The guy that we were hunting descended from the sky and struck Jari with a lightning bolt
while
that knocked
you were
him
all
unconscious.
still kind of in the middle of this thing.
Yes.
Okay. So that was almost a little bit of, not like Deus Ex Machina, but enemy ex machina inserted to quickly unite you guys?
Yeah, and then he was like, stop fighting, this is sacred ground.
Oh, again.
We still don't know why it was sacred.
Oh.
But that was just the DM trying to stop the PvP.
Right.
And then we retconned it basically to be the fight didn't happen and we all got along.
Okay.
And it was fine.
Wow. I didn't remember being that's how it was fixed. That it was just we just decided that didn't happen.
They did retcon it again to be...
Double retcon?
Yeah, so that Jari and Sifu did fight a little bit.
Okay.
But it turned out okay. But lessons to learn from this. This is why it's such a great example, is because I don't think it was any one person's fault for why this went bad.
We should have established that in the beginning.
Yeah, I kind of, in my telling of the story, portrayed Sifu to be more... but it wasn't really like that.
I really want to praise that individual for a second. They have definitely the most background and, improv and,
he's put
just being,
tons of work
really,
into his
I don't know,
really,
witty about stuff.
Yeah.
They were built to play D&D and have only just recently started getting really into it, I think.
To mention the bravery of letting us talk about this story on the podcast.
Yeah, we should have said that too. We did ask, hey, can we talk about this? Because, I think other people could learn from it. And he had the exact same perception that, it'd be cool if other people could kind of take a lesson from it.
So, breakdown. Here's what went wrong in the first place. They wanted to fight. They're friends, and they wanted to have this fight. they didn't discuss it with the rest of the party. We don't know that they wanted to fight each other. So we're like, what the heck? This new guy's trying to kill our friend? That's not cool. DM didn't really communicate the importance of the tattoo to the other player.
Was that like him trying to save it in the moment? Or do you think that was a thing they discussed?
He was supposed to discuss it, but it just didn't really...
Yeah. Well, then it just spiraled.
It just spiraled out of control.
Yeah. I feel like off the bat, he did a great job of like getting your attention. With just like, this is sacred. Like, that's an interesting... what? And then I guess that didn't like necessarily lead to something.
Why was the ground sacred? I don't even know if we asked that question.
Well, you know that... I feel like you guys know that his character worshiped like the same god as his old character,
We actually
right?
don't know that yet. Well, I knew that as a person, but my character doesn't know her.
Again, goes back to like, that's a backstory thing. Mm-hmm. So like really...
We're not talking about backstory.
We're not, because that's like the easy way out, right? It's so easy just to be like, we worship...
would do.
Well, no, just to be even like, we worship the same god. Hey, like, we're friends now.
They
like,
don't worship the same
god. Yeah, but I'm saying like, that'd be a super easy thing. Like,
if
you want a solution to this, like, have them worship the same god as somebody else in the party. Like, you're done. That's it. Yeah. Have them be literal a family member of somebody else. Like, that backstory stuff, that is the low-hanging fruit here. This, like, we're more on the level of...
How do you treat other people when you, like...
Yeah. I don't know. Like, is this an issue where you want to be this character who is, like, a hero in your own right, so it's hard to get people to think intuitively, like, oh, yeah, but I have to be, like...
A team player.
Really, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's another reason why the whole, like, level 1 big hero character doesn't really work. Because then it's like, if your character already single-handedly saved a city from a goblin horde, why do they need other people?
Yeah.
But that's a backstory thing.
Exactly.
We're not talking about backstory. We're talking about behavior.
So what were the things? How do we take that situation that we just explained and give the right advice to, like, what could have been done differently, right?
Yeah.
So they did a great job getting everybody's attention. One, they were an interesting looking character with being this like snowy owl, Aarakocra. I guess they were probably like unarmored and stuff because they're a monk, right? So definitely like standing out. Was this in the wilderness, the sacred ground? Was this like just between towns kind of thing?
It was a clearing in the jungle.
Okay. So yeah, in an unexpected place, like, whoa, here's this cool looking person doing this cool thing. They set the scene very well, I feel like. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The part where it could have been fixed was when the tattoo was seen, instead of saying, this is none of your business, maybe saying, how do you recognize this tattoo?
Yeah.
That would have opened a dialogue, and that's really what you want to do.
Yeah.
You want to have a dialogue instead of... Yeah. I think that was part of, like, them wanting to have... like their characters PvP, because
it's really like the miscommunication and the not treating others
respectfully.
Yeah. I mean, and then maybe as like a contrast, how I know your character introduction with Squid, this apparently tabaxi,
definitely a tabaxi,
totally a tabaxi warlock, definitely like a. I wanted to use the word like cloistered, but I don't know what that means. I feel like covered up, like almost disguised, because she's like wearing a trench coat and a hat.
It's basically a rain poncho.
But it looks like a trench coat because it's like huge collar and everything.
It doesn't have sleeves though.
Sneaky looking person. Still made good friends with this party.
Yes.
How did that happen? Same party, right?
Right.
Same DM.
And that happened because I decided that this character has been following the party for a while.
Okay.
Just wanting to be part of it. Just lurking and watching from the shadows. Basically a fangirl of the party and one party member in particular.
I like that.
Yeah. So when she heard that the party is missing someone when Delilah left, she just showed up and was like, I heard you need someone. And they were like, we do. She's like, do you mind if I tag along? And they were like, guess not.
I could be that someone.
Well, they really wanted Slippery John to be in the party.
Yeah. Maybe, I feel like you talked about Slippery John in the other one, but I don't remember if I left it in the video.
Slippery John is a blobfish with legs.
Yeah,
he can be sticky or slippery. And he goes, "Meow."
Yeah. So that's her warlock familiar.
I made it.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I stand by that sooner or later we should just make a video about Slippery John. Because I want, just like Barty McFly, I want Slippery John to be canon in more people's games. It's two of the coolest things we created.
That's another good thing to like hook a new party onto you. Something just like really interesting about you that they just want to get to know more about.
That's a great point. Just be like, you can be a little mysterious without being
standoffish.
Yeah, you don't have to be standoffish. You can have these interesting things about you that you're then willing to explain, or maybe just say like, it'll take you getting to know me a little while to really get to the bottom of this.
Eye the Squid is perfectly willing to discuss all the weird things about her.
Yeah, she probably wants to recruit people.
But
right?
she doesn't really care about that. That's not her job. But she waits for people to ask the right questions.
I like that.
Keep them on the line.
Yeah. Hook, line, and sinker, you might say.
So, that's individual introduction.
Yeah. Are we done? What was the other? Oh, yeah. NPCs was like the other thing to talk about.
NPC introduction.
Yeah. And
this is something that when I'm playing with other DMs, I'm like, why would you do this?
I know. I feel like most of the time my NPCs are just boring.
Yeah. I don't really remember any interesting NPCs.
Exactly.
One that I'm thinking of is the one who was just extremely forgetful and just made himself very difficult to interact with.
I should add that, like, I didn't play in either of these two campaigns. So the listener/viewer knows that, like, I don't just forget everything we do in D&D.
So, basically our party had to buy something really important, and we could only get it from this one person. And he just couldn't remember anything that happened in the past minute. So he'd go into the back to get what we needed and come out and be like, "Hi, welcome to my shop."
Yeah.
And we'd just be like, ugh.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah, so that's my point. When you're introducing an NPC, don't make them an obstacle.
Yeah.
If you want them to be someone that the party is going to keep around, NPCs should be friendly and they should be helpful. Also, they shouldn't be too cool.
Right. Okay. This is the other thing.
Because when you have a guy jump down from a roof in front of the party and behead 3 guys at one time.
3 heads off.
3 heads off. That's a little much.
Yeah, then they're the hero. What the heck?
Our DM likes to use a lot of very powerful, impressive NPCs, and while they are very helpful and usually friendly, we have started just kind of shrugging off anything powerful they can do because
now
every NPC
it's watered down.
Is like that.
Right.
And we're like that too. Like everyone in this world just has a special power. That's just something the DM likes to do.
But it's not like everyone in the world. It's like there are heroes in the world.
The heroes in the world.
But besides the party, there are a bunch of other heroes.
Yes.
Which I feel like, I don't know, I guess that's like a style of play that works really well in 5e. That's built for everyone to like be a freaking superhero. But I don't like that. I think the heroes should be like the ones, and the only other really powerful people should pretty much be the villains. Like maybe one kind of, almost like wizardly, like master person that they can learn from. Yeah, it seems like you guys run into this somewhat often.
Yeah, we always have some sidekick in our party. Right now it's Spider Tosser, who...
Is that a nickname, I assume?
We give them all nicknames now. There's 3 heads off Merlin. There's Goblin Duster, who blew up like 100 goblins with a laser beam one time.
Wait, is that Goblin Hood?
No, that Goblin Hood was a different thing.
Okay. Whatever.
And there's... I think we didn't have any for a while after Goblin Duster.
Okay.
Because when Goblin Duster was about to die, we were just kind of like, I hope the next one's a panda.
What?
And then we didn't have an NPC party member for a while.
Okay.
And now we have Spider Tosser, who...
Did they toss a spider?
She's tossed at least 3 spiders off the cliff.
Why are they toss? I don't know about any of this.
She's just really strong.
Okay. These are like giant spiders, I assume? Okay. Because just tossing a spider isn't a huge feat.
They're giant spiders.
Okay.
Where was I going with this?
They shouldn't be too powerful. The NPCs. They can't outshine. So, like, introducing your character, make them really interesting so your party wants to know more about them. And for an NPC, it's more like leading into the thing of they just have information that the PCs need. Don't make them super cool and be like, oh, I want to learn everything about you because of how cool you are. Like, no, then you'll just creating...
disappointed.
Well, yeah, I mean, A, you could be disappointed, but B, if you're the DM, like, you've just created somebody who, like, outshines the players, and that's the opposite of what this game is about.
Yeah, I mean,
you're supposed to shine the players.
In our game, we kind of just, like, don't let it happen, basically. We've learned that we're going to have these NPCs in our party. It's fine because they do help us out in difficult fights, which our DM likes to have. But we just kind of shrug off their...
Yeah, and I just find that so funny
by giving them stupid nicknames.
Which, I don't know, because I feel bad in that case.
As a DM.
But that's just kind of part of it. I've learned to lean into it more.
You should be prepared for that.
Yeah, you have to. And it's fun. Those are the ones that they remember the most.
Unless they betray the party.
What?
And that's what they remember the most.
Like if your NPC has a super secret?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about Baldo.
I would never be fooled by an NPC who carries a secret for a really long time, and I really like that NPC, and then they betray me / the party. That would never happen.
This is what I have done.
This is a game I did play in.
I created an extremely adorable halfling NPC with cute curly red hair.
Yeah.
Always wears a turtleneck sweater.
It's a nice little guy.
And always wears black gloves.
He always had these little gloves.
Always wearing little gloves.
Yeah. And I think I almost forgot about this, but I think part of what made that so endearing was that I was playing this full orc barbarian, and also in this only 3-person party, we had a Goliath, half Goliath, half dwarf, who was just also huge, but in every dimension.
And he would just be carrying Baldo
barbarian
everywhere.
too, or fighter. Yeah. I don't remember. Yeah. So we were just these 2 big dudes, and then we had our changeling bard companion, and it was just such a great party. Tons of great role play in there. So I think this NPC being in that campaign was a really great fit. But yeah, so go on. So we had this little cute guy.
Yeah, they met this little cute guy on a riverboat after they had been cursed by these magic items, and they were going to the city where all the wizards lived to get themselves uncursed.
Yeah.
On the riverboat, they were attacked by drow.
Like you do.
And this little halfling boy, he seemed defenseless. So the party wanted to protect him.
All he had was these little gloves.
Of course, he wasn't actually defenseless. He got a couple good hits.
Pretty defensible.
But basically, the Goliath guy was holding him and protecting him from the drow. So then they decided to travel together because this NPC was friendly. He was cute. Definitely not evil in any way.
I feel like there was a time when we were suspicious, but it faded pretty quick.
Yeah.
Because we were kind of he's too nice, he's too cute.
Actually, the thing was that
secret?
He took several big hits from some gnolls, and you were like, why does he have so many hit points?
Okay.
But that was metagaming. So
that's not metagaming. If you get beat up by a gnoll,
yeah, but you as an orc, you don't... As an orc barbarian,
if I see that little boy get slashed by a gnoll, I would think he's dead instantly.
You don't know how bad the injuries
I stand by that not being metagaming.
Whatever. You decided to travel together. You got attacked on your way to the city again.
Yeah, he was going to the same places.
Yeah,
right?
He just happened,
right?
To be going to the same place that they were.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it made sense.
Yeah.
I guess that he should travel with us. He's just a little helpless boy.
Yeah, just a
little black gloves.
So yeah, you got in there. You went to see the person you needed to see. Handed over. Well, you didn't hand them over because you couldn't take the items off your body. And then you went home so that this person could do a little more research on the data that she collected. Meanwhile, you're hanging out with Baldo, who's there. He has his own errands to run, so sometimes he's split from the party.
Yeah.
Doing stuff.
Like any NPC should.
Definitely no nefarious schemes going on.
Yeah.
But you go back the next day, and the person that you saw is missing. Where did she go?
What could have happened?
you see her appointment book, and you went around and you investigated all these people, and there was one guy who just everyone hated. I forget what his name was. But you go to see him, and you find out definitely wasn't this guy. And then I think later that night, you're eating dinner, and one of the party, the Goliath, is poisoned. And Baldo isn't there. Where's Baldo? Meanwhile, you ask to see the waiter who brought you your food, and no one's ever seen that waiter before. Who was that?
Oh my gosh.
You try to pursue, but you can't find him anywhere.
Oh my gosh, yeah, this is all flooding back to me now.
Yeah.
Because he was in bad condition. Like, this was serious
He
poison.
almost died.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would have killed him. I knew he would survive because it was a Constitution save.
And he's a barbarian.
And it wasn't even that high of a save. I wasn't really trying to kill the party.
Right. But he was, like, paralyzed or something. Like,
for a minute,
I think something happened, where, I was immediately, like, rushing around trying to find whoever did this. Oh my gosh.
Yep. So eventually, I think you realize, the last appointment in her appointment book was Baldo.
The person who went missing, yeah.
But Baldo said that he didn't actually see her. But you were like, what if he did see her?
So did we see him after that?
You did. You went to his room.
Okay.
And that was when you found him with a frog, or a giant toad.
Okay.
Not like giant, but it was like a big toad. And he took off his gloves and you saw he had webbed fingers. And you were like, wait.
Was he just doing this in front of us or were we spying on him?
No, you opened the door.
Oh, okay.
And I think you realized for some reason that the toad was the person you were looking for.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly what happened, but then they were like, why did you do this? And he was like, oh, I work for the guy that you're trying to, who cursed you. And it was just this big...
It was a big moment of betrayal.
Yeah, so basically, like, this little halfling warlock of the entity who had cursed them had followed them because the entity wanted those items back.
Yeah.
And the only way to get those items back was to kill the party.
Yeah, because they were cursed and stuck to us.
But they had treated Baldo so nicely that he decided he didn't want to kill them anymore, and he was going to actually try to become a wizard.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that's how that
So
ended.
he had transformed this individual, the person who was helping them, her name was Lumina, into a toad to act as his familiar.
Wow.
Because he couldn't actually summon one on his own. But yeah, it was... You guys liked him so much that I almost didn't go through with the betrayal. But then I decided, no, it'll just be so good for me to pull this off. Grace World Destroyer.
Yeah.
More like Grace Heart Destroyer.
Blew our world minds.
Anyway, that story got really long for what the point
really long.
is. Yeah. Just the story, I mean,
we were talking about NPCs being introduced to the party.
Right. But the point is, the introduction just went off so well.
Yeah.
That he was so cute and nice and friendly that the party just took to him immediately.
Yeah.
And I had purposefully written him to be that way.
Yep.
Because I wanted him to betray them later.
Yeah. Because the thing is, even though, like, we all had our suspicions, and there was a point where I, like, did not trust this guy, I got over it. And then I trusted him.
Yeah.
Because he was that cute and little.
I wonder if I could ever do that again.
Yeah. I would want to have that happen again. Like, not even from, like, a meta perspective, just, like, I don't know. In general, part of it, the treat others like you want to be treated. Like, yeah, I want the NPCs to be liked by the party. Like, that's just part of being a good player, I think, is not shutting down those NPCs the DM tries to introduce.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can have your suspicions. And then you can be like, oh, I knew it.
You can have your thoughts that they're too powerful or whatever.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, you just gotta welcome everybody.
Part of the introduction of a new character is the other side of the party. Like, if the party is just gonna be mean and dismiss a new player, that's not, like, the player's fault.
The things that you were, like, joking about, like, oh, we shouldn't meet anybody new. Don't do that kind of stuff for real. Don't be like, oh, our friend died. We could never accept a new friend. Because then it's like, well, if the player probably wants to stay in the game. So don't do that. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome and be welcoming. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Well, Did we do it? Let me look at my list of things to do.
Yeah, I think that's another day that we solved all the problems of D&D, and RPG horror stories on Reddit will be empty once again.
I saw a couple posts started to creep back up on that subreddit.
Can't let that
Not
happen.
allowed to happen. Anyway, thank you all for your support, and keep building.
Stop building.
That's it.